Welcome to Everything CPA and Private Equity, where we unpack the evolving relationship between accounting firms, private equity, and other strategics. I'm David Wolfskehl.
And I'm Phil Whitman, and we've chatted with more than 150 private equity groups. We've actually closed over 40 transactions with those private equity groups, and we're bringing you firsthand insights from the front lines.
And whether you're exploring your first deal, putting your toe in the water, refining your strategy, we're here to guide you with real stories, expert advice, actionable takeaways. Let's dive in. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Everything CPA and Private Equity, where we're here to educate you, to give you insights that are hard for you to come by. And today, so excited because we have really, I believe, our first or second PE deal. I believe it was the second one.
Yes.
That we did with Crete, and they've been a long time.
And it was their first one.
It was their first one.
And we're especially thrilled because we are in sunny Las Vegas at the Fontainebleau Hotel at the BDO Evolve conference here with our longtime friend, Funk.
How you doing, Phil?
Well, we're so excited. We're so excited to spread that message because although we know all about Crete, I think the world considers everybody PE and everybody the same as generic out there. So why don't you share a little bit about what is Crete and is it private equity?
Crete PA is kind of it was a vision of a way that, we need to cut.
We just start right from there.
A personal question. So do you think that losing Sam Darnold was the right decision at that time? And how much did you enjoy watching him in the Super Bowl? You said ask something personal, right?
I mean, it hurt really. I mean, after the one good year, paying him $30 million felt like a big number, but the fact is in the NFL, if you don't have a quarterback that's capable of playing at a high level, you're never going to win.
So you know who feels even worse than you? Me and every Jet fan out there who saw him for 4 years be ineffective versus you at least had one good year.
Yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit about Crete. In today's world, I think people look at the Cretes as one flavor and everything is the same. And it's these new people in the market.
Yes, because as a matter of fact, one of the things that we do, even the title of our show, Everything CPA and Private Equity, everyone lumps private equity into one bucket, but there's family offices, there's wealth management firms, there's venture capital,
and there's Crete.
So Crete is a holding company that is designed to embrace the profession and embrace the entrepreneurial spirit of the profession, in that we give you what we call the T's and C's, which is talent, tools, technology, collaboration, cross-selling, and capital to help fuel your, we are not a licensed CPA firm ourselves. We are a holding company that lets accountants do accounting, and we will take care of things that the accountants have to do as partners in a firm. Isn't the highest and best use of their talents and time.
And so, tell us a little bit more about the differences between Crete and a typical private equity firm.
So at Crete, we use the term partner equity because we're a platform where if you two own the firm and we wanted to partner with you, we create a new partnership and we will own a percentage of that partnership and you will own a percentage of that partnership. The traditional private equity model is that somebody would partner with you, maybe let you keep your brand and your name, but the fact is their holding company owns 100% of that firm's interest. And if you do have any equity, it's going to be at their holding company level.
Wait a minute. You said if you do have any equity, do you mean that there are opportunities for firms out there where they do a deal with someone like a Crete but different, but they don't get any rollover equity?
They don't get rollover equity. They typically don't get rollover equity in their own firm. So if there's a platform firm and that firm is partnered with 30 other firms, they will end up rolling their equity into that platform and their firm will be one of 30. And if they were all equal sized firms, basically 96, 97% of your financial outcome would be dictated by the results of the other firms, where we want to embrace the entrepreneurial spirit and your results will be dictated by your financial outcome at the end with your rollover equity gets dictated by the results of your firm moving forward. And here in Vegas, the perfect analogy is, do you want to be part of what I'd call the PE blackjack tip jar? You know, where you're one of 30 blackjack dealers. At the end of the night, they throw all the tips together into one. And regardless of if you had great service and somebody else didn't, everybody's going to split those tips based on some predetermined percentage. And that is how a typical private equity fund across all industries, not just accounting, typically would work.
I love that analogy. And now I'm going to ask an unscripted question.
Oh boy.
So 4 years ago, you called me, right? It was like 2022.
January of 23.
23. So why did you call me?
So first, our firm went through a proposed transition to a larger firm, and everything about it made my stomach a little churn. We were a firm, average age of 5 partners is 45 years old. We had clients that we could no longer service because they had grown too much. And we thought maybe we needed to join a larger firm. And in November, December of 2022, we went through the process, and the options it was like selling your soul to the devil, but you didn't even get paid for it, because that's the way the structure of the deals work. Like, give me your firm and I'll pay you in 20 years when you leave. But in the meantime, you don't get any cash down. Maybe you get to keep your accounts receivable. So I had a client that was doing something different with unit level ownership, where they were giving entrepreneurs the ability to maintain ownership at the local level. They had the ability to have access to national resources. And then from a valuation standpoint, something accountants haven't really thought about before, they would get a platform level valuation for their retained ownership. And I knew that if we could give accountants the opportunity for these 3 attributes, that there would be huge appetite.
But they weren't doing this in the accounting arena.
No, they weren't doing the accounting, but I went to them and I said, if you want to build this in the accounting, it will work. And that was the premise.
Were you right?
I mean, there's no blood on my hands yet.
And if it's okay, so you've been at this for like 3 years. You've amassed how many platform firms, and what are your total gross revenues?
So we've done 48 transactions, but today we operate 29 accounting firms. So 19 of those firms were at the point in their life where they just weren't going to be able to grow and do what they wanted. So they joined other firms as a tuck-in. But we have 29 operating firms today. And last month, our trailing 12-month revenue was a shade over 500 million of revenue.
Wow, in 3 years.
Yeah, August of 23 was the origination.
Yes. I mean, amazing. I was at that first meeting. I happened to be at that first meeting. You had something. And it's amazing from sitting with that group of partners where Crete was at 0 to be at 500 million.
Yeah.
Awesome job. So tell me a little bit more though. I know that you're different than P. Also, your cap stack is different, right? Your timelines are different. Why don't you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when we say we're partner equity versus private equity, most private equity groups have a fund timeline that at some point, 7-10 years down the road, they're going to liquidate. They have an obligation to their investors to liquidate.
Obligation.
So what that means is if you have a 7-year timeline, first 1, 2, 3 years, you might do things to invest and create, either they work or they don't work. But once year 3, 4, and 5 come around, you're minimizing expenses. You're making different decisions because you want your EBITDA to be as high as possible. So because you know you have a liquidating event coming up, you do not do what's best for the business long term. So it starts to be competing forces that end up, can harm the business in the long term. We're building something. We have a capital structure where we have no forced liquidation date. We want to build a firm for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And our focus in that is how can we create the best customer experience possible? The accounting industry is going through so much change right now. You don't know what that's going to look like internally with technology, with all the changes and staffing. But we do know that if we create the best customer experience possible, that Crete will be an entity that can stand the test of time.
Now, you just mentioned we don't know what's going to happen with technology. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, so you were doing this maybe, for a year, 15 months, and you had some amazing partners come in. Why don't you do some sharing about that?
Yeah, so we partnered with that first firm in August of 2020. Over the next 6 months, we saw this disparity of tech stacks, and then we saw vendors come out of the woodworks, and there was probably 100 different vendors trying to sell us tools to be more efficient. And we quickly came to the conclusion that we were not the right people to be evaluating these tools to know if they were backed by the right people, what their roadmap was, whether they were going to be something that truly changed the profession. So we've tried to find the most influential people in that tech space as we could. And we ended up partnering with Thrive Capital and Bessemer Venture Partners.
And who are they?
Thrive is the second largest open investor in OpenAI behind Microsoft. And Bessemer is a technology venture capital fund focused on project management systems. And one thing, as you know, in the accounting industry, the project management system should be the source of all truth, but there are lots of different engines with lots of different abilities, and most accountants don't even use them to their fullest extent. So those are the two areas of transformational technology that we needed help. So we partnered with them. And today, if you fast forward a year and a half later, we have Thrive engineers that would never come work for an accounting firm that work at Thrive on the accounting firm project, but they get the badge value of working for Thrive, and they come in and they sit next to our accountants and they say, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis over and over and over? And then they go back and try to design it. And then a week later, they might send them a tool that does that. And there's constant feedback back and forth. So instead of having to create a product, try to go to market, try to sell it, have a 6-month trial, come back and fix it, there's like constant dialogue back and forth because there's an instant customer to use it.
And I'm sorry to cut you off. As I mentioned, we're at BDO Evolve, and I just came out of a session where your CEO, Steve Stagner, was talking a little bit about Thrive and all this tech forward stuff you're doing. And one of the things that really struck me is he said, you don't force your firms to adapt. It's not compliance with anything. It is
playbooks and not rule books.
Playbooks and not rule books.
That's exactly. Commitment and not compliance.
Commitment's much different than compliance.
Yeah. So first, we're a combination of 29 firms. What works well in one area may not work well in another area. And who are we to come in and tell you, this is the way you have to run your business. So, but we are in the background and we want to create enterprise grade solutions for any problem that an accounting firm may have. And then if you have that problem or we have these case studies, and all of a sudden we can show you that if you do A, B, or C, the results will be D, E, and F. And we've done it 5 times with other firms. Are you interested? If your firm's performing, you're not interested, you don't have to do it. But at some point, our hope is that, if using the technology that Thrive created to self-populate and review a tax return just by scanning in the documents cuts your prep time in half by 80%, why wouldn't you want to try it?
You just said something that I have not heard before. I know there's companies out there that will do compliance and preparation work. You said prepare and review. Tell me a little bit about that. Prepare and review.
I'm getting a little out of my area of expertise here.
We got to bring in those
with somebody else.
The concept is these language learning models learn from themselves, and you can give them feedback of what needed to be changed in a return, and it will review for those items. And it might not necessarily change them, but it will make notes of these are things that you should review. It'll give the reviewer review notes in advance. And it'll also, pending, one of the huge items is pending lists, right?
Yeah.
So it'll populate a tax return, and then it'll email the preparer a pending list of everything that was in last year's return that's not in this year's return in a format that they could forward to a client. But maybe you review it first, something went away, whatever. As a preparer, your client, but, just different layers that you can add on this that'll do nothing but create a better client experience.
So I'm going to oversimplify it, but it sounds like what you're telling me, and you're a CPA, so you'll understand this. If I were an investor in a natural gas drilling and there was intangible drilling costs, if I were
a
general partner, I could deduct that above the line and reduce my AGI. But if I was a limited partner, I couldn't. Are you telling me that whoever's reviewing that return could type into whatever that large learning model is? If the K1 indicates a general partner, then it's above the line deduction. Otherwise,
it knows it already. I think
conceptually, yes. I mean, you're talking about passive versus active with the general unlimited. So, it'll prompt you, like, are you sure this is a limited partner that should be passive and stuff like that? But
amazing.
You're getting into.
So I'm sorry to get geek out.
So let's talk about, I was at that first meeting with RBB. It's been a couple years now. Talk about, from Dave, who is the managing partner's perspective, how has partnering with Crete impacted his future?
I mean, it's been a huge impact for RBB. They were a pretty traditional accounting firm that had approximately 20 million in revenue. And they had 11 partners that each had $1.5 million to $5 million books of business, kind of ran independently. And what partnering with Crete has done is they've done a handful of those tuck-ins that I talked about. Their revenue today is approximately about $45 million. But more importantly, they tucked in those firms. Those clients got dispersed amongst their employees to give their employees more opportunity in advance as the firms that they've tucked in have people retiring. And then being of a larger scale of size has allowed them to bring on a COO, a CFO, head of tech and a head of HR that run those divisions, and the partners themselves don't have to worry about those things anymore. And now they can scale on even more inorganic growth. They have the infrastructure built now. We built that as they've gone from 20 to 45 million. Over the next 3 years, they're going to go from 45 to 100 million. That infrastructure is there. And Dave's life is actually going to get easier, not harder, even though the organization's 5x as big as it was.
So were they a typical firm where partner number one was overseeing HR, partner number two was overseeing IT, someone else was focused on marketing, and they weren't really able to do what they really went to school for, which is accounting, servicing clients, going out and developing business, and not, spending 300, 400, 500 hours on administrative work?
Two things there. You're hitting one of my topics that I talked about. You know what accountants are good at?
Accounting.
You know what accountants like doing?
Accounting.
You know what they don't like doing? Everything.
Anything else.
And so partnering with Crete does two things. As you grow, you can build the infrastructure inside. And then we also have, a C-suite of people as a resource that would be highly paid consultants in their industries as it relates to those different areas that can be resources for those local firms that they would never be able to afford on their own. You just wouldn't allocate, that type of resource across 6 different areas in your average, 20, 30, $40 million.
And they probably didn't have the bandwidth to also, help with the implementation and just make things happen internally. So this was great and so nice having you on with us.
It's always great to see you.
Is there, as we wrap this up, right, tell us a little bit more about Crete, or are there any other points you'd like to share with our audience?
I think the underlying theme is that Crete is designed to embrace the entrepreneur. We want to maintain the local ownership, the local management, the local culture, and the playbooks and not rule books is designed that you can run your firm and have the entrepreneurial spirit. And then if there's going to be some change, we will help you with that change. We've done it before. We'll do it multiple times before it might get to you. There's 29 opportunities to implement a new practice management system. And then at that point, you raise your hand and say, yes, I want to do X. Guess what? You're committed. You're not doing it because we forced you to do it. You're doing it because you believe in it and you want to do it. And then we'll go through that process and journey together.
And as a leader, forcing somebody versus getting somebody to commit, life is much easier with the commit end of things.
And it sounds like you're saying something that we frequently say at Whitman Advisory. It's your life. So it's almost like you're saying, is this something you want to do? Yeah.
We want to give the practitioners in the industry freedom. We're going to take freedom of what today is 80% of time, I think, is devoted to recording the past and 20% is to shaping the future. I think that's going to reverse. And in 5 years, you're going to let computers do what computers do. And 20% of the human time is going to record the past, and 80% of the human time is going to be about shaping the future. And that ultimately comes back to customer experience. They're going to get more value.
Well, Just want to say a big thank you to Crete. Big thank you to you, Josh. We appreciate you. It's been a great journey seeing you and participating in that journey as well. For our subscribers, big thank you for spending some time with us today. Like us, subscribe. If you have any questions, and we love getting questions because we're here to help. And, this is what we do. And this is what Phil does every day. I met with 40 managing partners this month, including these couple days at BDO. For our audience, go crush the day. Josh, thank you. Phil, thank you.
Thank you for tuning into Everything CPA and Private Equity. Every episode brings fresh insight. However, there's always more to talk about.
Don't miss an episode. Subscribe wherever you watch podcasts. Have a question or topic you'd like us to cover? We'd love for you to reach out to us.
Together, we will help you navigate this dynamic landscape so that we can help you achieve your goals. Until next time, keep making moves that matter.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.